I'm just like, I don't deserve. I walked in and I'll never forget how I walked in and was so. I turned away from everyone and I was like, I gotta take a
Whoopsie.
so bad.
Yep.
What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set.
Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencastr. Zencastr is the ultimate-based podcasting solution and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layered backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
Whoopsie. Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Wow. Let's talk about the weekend.
Let's.
I mean, and this is such like kind of a boring intro, and people have already probably exited out by right now. But it's also like Cody writes when he says, "So, what do y'all want to talk about?" And it's like,
what do y'all want to talk about? Like, we're listening to you. Like,
all right. So tell everyone about your Saturday, because this is going to get published on Friday, the 27th of July, I believe.
correct. Yeah, so
Go for it.
we finally got Little Guy to the shore, and because he's been asking us the last, couple weeks, and, we've been getting, like we said in the last couple episodes, it's been raining like hell almost every weekend during the week, so we haven't had a good, Saturday to go. So we were hoping this past Saturday, we were looking at the weather. Okay, no rain. Then there was days where it was like, all right, 30-40%. We're like, all right, I'm not sure. Then it finally had no rain in the forecast. We're like, all right, cool, we're going. So dude, he had a blast. This was like the first time he was actually able to go into the water and enjoy it, because the first time he was there, he was like really little, and then the second year he was actually able to go into the water, but he was like just walking at that point, so he couldn't really handle it too well. We had to hold him up by two hands and blah blah blah, kind of hold him, because he was just,
the balance wasn't there, right?
Yeah,
heads up.
Yeah, so you really couldn't let him go. So this year, I mean, I was just holding him with just holding his hand by my side, and he's jumping up, trying to clear the waves. He's smacking the waves, and and then after the second or third time, yeah, that the second or third time, he starts seeing these other little kids next to him, and they're just kind of laying in the water and they're swimming. They're a little bit older than him, but he's like a monkey see, monkey do. Like, he's like, oh, okay, let me try to, after this wave, I'm just gonna try to start tilting down. And I'm like, dude, no, you can't just fall in the water like that. He's like, I want to swim. I'm like, all right, well, no problem. Let me just hold you before you do that. You just can't go diving into the ocean here.
You don't have gills like Gil has, right?
No, yeah.
Shout out to our friend Gil. We love you, man. Seriously.
Love you, bro. So I'm basically he goes in stomach first. I'm telling him, keep your head up, mouth closed. You don't want to get that salt water in your mouth. And there were times, he's trying to, because he like any kid, likes to, dip his hand in the water and try to get all the sand. And so he likes to try to throw the sand and stuff. But there was times, and even sometimes they were my fault, I'll call it, that, I'm trying to tell him to get up and a wave smacks him in the face. But here's the thing that I'm so glad that he doesn't freak out with water. Like, he has that initial, like, oh my God moment, but then I tell him, cough it out, bud, cough, because I've taught him to kind of like, hey, cough it out if you have water in your mouth. And so he goes, so he knows to cough it out and get his bearings right. He doesn't freak out with it. He'll have like a moment where he's like, oh my God, it just happened. He'll get like a little like, but I'm like, hey, cough it out, pat his back a little bit, and he's good. And then he's ready to go again. So, I mean, yeah.
He's not emotionally traumatized immediately, like some kids that would get smacked down by the wave and then they'd stand over and be like, and then they'd be gone.
Yeah.
You're like,
and I still had
that's good.
And I still had his arm with me, so I wasn't going to let him go at any time. I mean, he's not, he doesn't have any swim lessons or anything. And, because he wanted to keep on going out. And I'm like, dude, unless I'm going to be holding you, this is where you're going. I mean, until you're, get some swim lessons and me and mommy can confidently not hold your hand and know that you're not just going to fall in the water and just go off, then we're still holding your hand, buddy. Yeah. Okay.
I hate that immediately in my brain. When you said, oh, I still have his hand and his arm, he's fine. I saw his arm detach and then the rest of his body just float away.
Just float like
and you're like, I got you, buddy, over here. You're just
I got you, wait.
his limb around. I got your weight over here.
Over here.
That
would
great,
be
man.
hilarious.
Jeez.
But no, it was awesome. It was awesome to see him actually enjoying it this year, and obviously this ain't gonna be the last time. But we got him on the boogie board for a little bit too, and I think the next time we get down there, I'm gonna buy him like a smaller, kid size boogie board, because I think he'll enjoy just kind of sitting down on it and taking the small waves and being able to just go like that. Because the big one, he can fit on there, but he kind of sits on his bottom and does it. So I think I got to teach him to sit on his stomach, keep his head up, and blah blah blah. So I'll have to teach him that next time.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty bummed, honestly, because I don't go to that shore that you frequent. Like, I just happened to be down there. And the company that I was with, they go later in the day. So we got out on the sand around like 3 or 4. And it wasn't like, and I was texting you. I was like, yeah, I don't want to park my chair and then say, yeah, hey, I'm out. And then go.
Right, yeah.
Just,
thanks for the ride.
Whoopsie.
Like,
so I was parked for a good bit, and then one of the people I was with had gotten a phone call, and she was like, oh, excuse me. I was like, oh, yeah, excuse me, too. And that's when I got up, and I was like, down on 4th, and I was going to run up to 10th to see you, and you're like, yeah, we're actually packing up. And I was like, I'm about probably a half hour. Even if I was there 15 minutes beforehand, I might have made it.
Might have caught us in a little bit because we had just gotten back from him being in the water for a little bit. He was playing on the edge of the water that time and just playing in the sand and everything. And I was trying to make a moat with him and trying to get the water to come in the moat and everything. So I was trying to show him that little thing. And then we came up to our spot, and then maybe 5-10 minutes later, he started to say like, oh, I want to go up there, and he's pointing to the boardwalk. He was saying that all day too, like, because he saw the arcade, and he's like, I want to go in the arcade. And we kept telling him, we'll go up there because we're going to go get pizza. We're going to get ice cream, do all that. So, and it was like, just about 3:00, and we were just starting to say, okay, how about we just start getting ourselves packed up, because it's going to take us a little bit to get packed up, everything. We'll get him changed. I'll get changed. She can get changed. And by the time, we'll take him to the arcade, get some food and everything. So yeah, like you said, if it was maybe 10 to 15 minutes earlier, probably would have been able to snag and talk to you for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Sure. And I was already at the point because I went to the gym for the first time. My whole point for going to that shore was to meet up with a student of mine who I was doing private lessons with him, and doing like some personal training stuff, just light exercises, dumbbells. And he was like, I want to do barbell stuff. And I was like, well, you need to let me teach you safely. I was like,
Hmm.
do you go to the gym alone, or do you have someone that do you have a gym buddy that you go with to spot you? He's like, yeah, no, I go by myself. And I
Hmm.
was like, yeah, you got to know how to do these carefully. So we went to the gym, we walked in. I had never been in this place before, and I'm looking around, I'm looking for the Smith machine, which was entirely why we went. And I was like, I don't see anything. So we found free bars.
Which was it? Was it the Atlas gym
I think it
or
was on
Addis
10th.
gym?
It was on 10th.
Okay,
So
yeah, it might
right
have been that one. Yeah.
right near where you were on the sand is where
Uh
that
huh.
gym was, and you could pay $10 a day to just like go in and do your own thing. So we were
Yeah.
like, fine,
Uh huh.
we're doing it. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, I mean,
that's perfect.
I have a Planet Fitness membership, but we would have had to driven 15 minutes to get to a Planet Fitness for us to get in there. So it's like a pay with your time, pay with your money
Hmm.
kind of thing. So we were like, let's just pay the $10 and it's right there. And we walked. So we're like, okay, it's a good, nice little warm up to get our blood warm. We're out in the sun. It was, I think, 11:45, and we went in, and I couldn't spot a Smith machine anywhere. But I found a couple racks where it was
Hmm.
like free barbells, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna teach you how to do
Yeah.
these couple things with a free bar, just no weight on them. So I
Hmm.
taught him how to do like the barbell squats, and he's like, where should I
Yeah.
have them on my back? And I'm like, you'll find a spot. Like, you have to do it a couple times, and then you'll find exactly where you set the bar. Like, there's not a like nobody has. It's not universal for everyone. It's just kind of like, are you more comfortable up here closer to your neck, or are you more comfortable down here closer to your rhomboids, like in your shoulder blades? So
Yeah.
he
Usually
he
it's like
did
not on top of your neck, but it's like yeah, like right around like
right.
the shoulder blade area a little bit.
It's like just under here.
Just above the shoulder blade, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think after a second set, he found out where he needed to be, but he was also doing it with no
Right.
weight on it. And I saw him going like this back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, you need a Smith machine as like your next step,
Hmm.
because he's just coming off of dumbbells, not lifting super heavy, which is fine. He's he's 20 years old. I mean, I didn't even start going to Planet Fitness until I was like 22 or 23 years old. And like actually
Hmm.
going to the gym, lifting weights, and like actually feeling sore on that front. So for
Yeah.
him to be in that spot now, I'm like, you don't know you're ahead, but you're ahead. It's pretty cool. And then,
Oh yeah. He's yeah, he's young. He's got a lot of years to prep that, so he's good. And especially, you know, that balance with especially going, you know, left to right, especially like the footing that'll keep him balanced. Because if it like a lot of people tend to keep their feet closer in, and that can usually throw them off balance too. So having like a, especially if you're beginning, having like that wide, like not a wide grip, but enough to like have your legs like kind of shoulder width apart a little bit, that'll kind of center your gravity. And so that you can know to, you know, squat down, squat up, and especially, you know, just doing the barbell at first and doing a couple sets of that to get your balance and the right, like you were trying to teach him like the right form, just getting your form correct is the best thing, because you can throw your back out pretty quick with, you know, ego lifting with that thing.
yeah, it's not hard. And for someone like him, he's got incredible core strength. Like, he can hold a full plank for, or I don't know about the full. He can hold a half plank for more than 3 minutes. So his core strength is there,
Mm,
but it's a
right.
matter of like, hey, you need to utilize it while you're doing the squat, because they say, hey, brace your core. And I think a lot of people are like, hips back, bend legs, collarbone up, and then their midsection is just flying all over the place. And that's why I think he was teetering, because he didn't know how to brace his setter, right?
Yeah.
Um, So there was some stuff happening there with that, but before we got to the free bar, we found like the assisted like pull up and chin up machine. And I was like, "You ever
Okay.
seen one of these?" He was like, "Nope." I was like, "Cool. I'm gonna introduce you." And he
Mm-hmm.
loved that one. All he needed. I mean, we started with like an 80-pound assist, but then
Yeah.
we navigated down to like a 40-pound assist, and he would and like he struggled. Like I could tell it was more challenging. But we were on
Yeah.
our walk back to his place after we left, and he was like, "I really liked that." And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Do they have that at your school?" He's like, "No." And I was like, "But they have the overhead cable pull downs." He was like, "Yep." And I was like, "Do those because it will help train the muscles that you need to do these without the assist."
Yep. Yep.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a meme out there that says, "Be the person that you needed when you were younger." And I'm like, I'm trying to be out
Mm.
here and like champion these younger aspiring people for the next generation. And I mean, that's been a thing for me for since I was a kid. I was like, I want to be that person. And this all goes back to the dance thing where I'm like, I want to be that guy, not just because he's cool, but because I know he's inspiring us to do a fun thing that changes the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always kind of
Absolutely.
been my gig with dance. And that's why I had rehearsal at a certain studio on Friday, and it was just convenient. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I come down and I show you this on Saturday?" Because I had rehearsal at that same studio on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
um, in New Jersey, and then like it all went according to plan, the way that I wanted to, and I was just super grateful. The only thing that I missed out on was running into y'all on the sand. Because I did want to. As soon as you told me, yeah, we're going to Ocean City, New Jersey, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be there. Um,
And at first I
it
thought
just
you were
didn't
just kind
time
of
out
being funny
super
with it. I'm
perfect.
like, okay, cool, same.
Same. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I went to the gym Saturday. That was different. It's been a minute. When I say a minute, I mean there were a few weeks there a couple months ago where I was going at like 7:30 in the morning, but I was just doing treadmill, elliptical, and very just maybe some leg presses, some leg curls.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I did anything like wild at the gym. Um, but that was so this is coming out Friday. So we're talking Monday night. So 2 days ago, I did the gym. And then yesterday morning, it was like 9 o'clock. I went out on the porch and I was just sitting there and I was like, I'm at least going to do some push ups. So I did 3 sets of 10 push ups, which sounds like not a
Mm-hmm.
lot. But I was like, I haven't worked out in a long time. And then
Yeah.
you and I were texting this morning. And I was telling you, I was like, I got to get these push ups in before it gets too late in the day. And then I just lose focus of it. So I
Right.
was like, before noon, I think it was like 11:15, 11:30. I was telling you. And I was like, you know what? I didn't want to do it on the car. It was really weird. I don't want to do it on a carpet because I feel like I'm soft, SAWFT soft. Doing it on a carpet,
Soft.
soft. So I just feel different doing it on a harder surface. So I went into my kitchen and I did the first 10 were the hardest because I was like, I like had to
Yeah.
mentally pull myself to the floor and put myself in a position. I just had to get through the first 10 and say, okay, I
Yeah.
did that. I could get the next 2 sets in. And then the second set was fine. And then the third set, I got through the first 5 or 6. And then 7 and 8, I was like, come on, man. You only got 2 more in you. You can
Yeah.
do this.
Right.
And then I got to
It's
10
funny
and
how
I was
those
like,
first like 10 are just like the worst, and then your body just goes into this, okay, rechargeable like adrenaline thing, and then you get through those next two, and then until like the last, you know, 4 or 5 reps, you're just like, all right, come on, I got it. 3 more, 2 more, 1 more, then you're done.
Well, it's just one, it's going to the gym in general. If it's not a thing that if it's not a lifestyle that you're like accustomed to,
Yeah.
it feels very much like a job. And I know you can speak to this. You have a testament because you've done workout programs. We did not accomplish the weight loss program that we talked about last spring. But I
Right.
have seen you do the 90-day challenge with Jen, and I've seen you and her go from like, hey, we're just kind of like out here casually doing the day versus like you made fitness not it wasn't
A
even a
lifestyle,
priority.
like
It was a lifestyle. It was you wake
yeah.
up and you go to sleep and it's what am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow?
Uh-huh.
And I think that level of commitment is essential if people want to see the results because if you're just doing it for, oh, I heard exercise is good for my health, like a maintenance pattern, like you're gonna look the
Mhm.
same. I think it's like you have to have targets, you have to have certain goals, and this is where I love Brent, Kirschner,
Bart, Brent,
whatever you want to call him, yeah,
Kirshner. Yeah.
because he
Whatever
says
it is
no.
that week.
He'll say like, hey, despite like how I look, because his center, he's got a lot of fat on the midsection, but he'll be able to balance
But he's jacked.
and he promotes all the time. He's like, despite what people think, I am incredibly athletic. And I see him do things that I'm like, I don't I could do it, but I can't do it right now. I'd have to put my mind to it and train myself to get there, you know?
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's
he's just some type of like freakish human being where like he looks like he would not be athletic, but the dude just like the biggest thing was the whole tennis thing with him and Tom. Like Tom
yeah.
was like sold that he could beat Bert at tennis, but then he comes in and just like I don't think Tom even got a swing off of Bert that whole match, maybe just one time. But I was like, gee, that I think that was the first time I put in my mind like Bert is actually like an athlete, but like a fatter athlete that looks like he's out of shape but is in great shape.
Yeah, I think a lot that accompanies that too is mind over matter, where times going into that
Hmm.
matchup with Bar Crystals and thinking like, okay, this guy doesn't stand a chance, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and Brent walks in and he's like, I'm gonna
Whoopsie.
it up, and then he just
Yeah.
does it, you know. Um, so I think it was a mind over matter matchup between the two of them where Tom was like, no chance, buddy, and um, Bartholomew was like, same, not a
Same.
chance. And then he just smoked him. That's so
Yeah.
fun, man. So fun.
It was insanely entertaining. And I think the next best thing that was equally to that was when recently, and we're talking YMH stuff, guys. So if you guys are YMH fans and watch the YMH podcast and Your Mom's House, Two Bears, One Cage, you guys probably seen this before. But recently, one of their producers, Annie, had just had a basketball competition, one-on-one competition with one of the other producers, Ryan, and he was slow rolling this thing for weeks, saying that like, oh, I don't like basketball, I don't play basketball. But little did he know he's been like practicing for 45 days in the gym, and he comes in and just smokes Ryan, and everybody was like, where the hell did this come from? Like, and all it took, and he was like saying that he couldn't do it, and then it just sparked in him saying, okay, you don't think I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna like make you eat your dust with that, I'm gonna do it. And I think that's the same mentality that Bert has, with the fact that like I think he thrives
It's
off like trying to prove to himself that he can do something when a lot of people think he can't.
it's the mindset, man, and that's why I was saying mind over matter. It's so
100%.
we let excuses get in our way, and if we aspire to do a thing like let's say our weight loss challenge, like things just got in the way, and we were just like, oh, it never really came to fruition, right? um
Right.
so we're significantly into the podcast where like I feel pretty comfortable sharing this because
Let's do it.
uh most of y'all, and when I say y'all, I mean many of y'all aren't even y'all that are listening right now because it's too far in. You've gotten your content. The things that I was going to share towards the end of the episode, I'm actually going to save for the next one, which we're recording actually right after this. Dude, I got to tell you, man, it's been pretty cool, like mentally, for me to say, okay, I'm at a spot where I want to pursue something that has been on my bucket list for so long. And I'm like, I need to think mind over matter. And that's part of the reason why I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting to get into the workout thing. I'm trying to say, dismiss the
Whoopsie.
right? And just say, whatever I got to do, don't let anything get in my way. So I'm
Yeah.
going back on the road again, to travel with monsters, to train, to pursue that dream.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's
Stoked for you, bro.
dude. I have told only like a couple people about this because I'm keeping it pretty under wraps. Like I said, I don't care about sharing it right here. If people are out there and watching and listening,
That's awesome, man.
I am breathing it into the universe for a reason. I've been pretty okay in my worst days. So I'm like, well, why am I in my worst days? And I'm letting myself and everything get in my way. So I'm trying to get to a point where I'm like, no, I need to zero in on the end all be all goal. It's not a for the rest of my life kind of thing. It's a very immediate, hey, every day, this is the thing that I want to do. And I need to drive into
Mm-hmm.
it. And I'm in a position right now where I can drive in that direction. So I'm doing it. So
Sweet, man.
I'm going to Denver, Colorado in October. And then I'm going to Virginia. And then I'm going to Houston and Chicago. And then I'm going to Vancouver, Washington, and New Brunswick in January. There are events in the spring after that, but they are more geared towards like competition kids. So I'll attend some of them. But it's also, that's a better time for me if I need to take off on a Friday from the studio that I teach at to be away rather than in the spring. I need to be present because I need to be building the recital piece in that moment, right?
Yeah.
So I think that goal is going to line up with the episode 100 goal. And like everything is just settling in at the correct time. And I'm like, let's go. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited for this
I'm
one.
excited for you. And I loved when you were with Monsters a couple years ago and you were just traveling with them. I thought it was the coolest for you. And I think you were really happy traveling with them and just being able to get that experience and, being able to, now you taught lessons or you were taking lessons from other dancers at that point, or was it a little bit of both? And I know you were doing behind the scenes stuff as well.
So the behind the scenes stuff was the compensation because I helped them build up like the convention, the seminar, the event in the hotel ballrooms everywhere that I travel to. I helped them get everything set up. Merch is over here, build the rooms,
Right.
the stage, the AV was the biggest thing. Helping set up the backdrop banners, all that stuff. And they were like, okay, we'll put you in a hotel room and you can train for free. So I did that for like 5 years.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and I
And
think
are they still going to give you the same offers, or?
so. Um, but I'm gonna say this. I don't know if I've talked about this on here, and it's not a dig. I understood why they did it. I think. I'm pretty sure. They awarded me with the Monsters for Life award, which means I can show up to any city at any time and say, "Hey, I'm Jim Green. I want my admission wristband now," and they would
That's
just
awesome.
put it on for free. But they didn't offer me the hotel stay, so I'd have to pay for that out of
Gotcha.
pocket. That's why I kind of stopped because
Gotcha.
I was like, I didn't have the funds to do that because that wasn't a thing
Yeah.
prior to that, you know.
Right.
But now, I am halfway to 37. You had just turned, which, by the way, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Again, I am so sorry. It was like
Thank you,
9:30,
brother.
10 o'clock it was last Thursday, right?
Yeah, last Thursday.
I was just like, oh my God, it's July 20th. It's Anthony's birthday. And then that's when we had already been talking in the morning for like an hour. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm usually pretty good about the
It's
midnight
all
thing
good.
with like really close family and
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, and it's totally fine. Like I said, I'm usually not the one to kind of, be like, it's my birthday. Everybody love me. But, 37, nobody cares about that age at that point. I mean, the next one is like 40. The next is 50. It's like every 10. After 21, it's pretty much 40 after that.
Dude, I mean, you were at my little gathering for my 30th. That was a surprise. And then, which totally didn't expect. And then that last thing that just happened in February, I was like, I'm 36. What the F is all of this right now? But it was cool because I was caught off guard because nobody expects it at 36, right? So,
Right, exactly.
Cheyenne definitely threw me for a loop with that one. But at any rate,
yeah, shouts out to Cheyenne for getting that put together. That was fun. That was a little
for sure.
fun last minute thing.
And I was at your house hours beforehand, and then she sent me on a freaking mission just to keep me away.
Yep.
The plotting.
It was great. It couldn't have worked out better.
I'm just like, I don't deserve. I walked in and I'll never forget how I walked in and was so. I turned away from everyone and I was like, I gotta take a
Whoopsie.
so bad.
Yep.
I'm not even kidding. I turned away not because I was like really thrown off, but I was like, I was eager to get home because I have needed to use the bathroom for 25 minutes. And I got there and so many people were there and I was like, I need to go so bad.
Just holding it all in. Like, I'm holding in my bowels and my excitement right now. Like,
so then I go around everyone. I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. Thank you for being here. And then I make my rounds and I'm like, I gotta go. Bye.
Oh man, yeah, it was a good time. That was fun.
That was really, really tough, man. I'll tell that story forever.
Yeah, man.
But anyway,
but yeah, man, you're back on the road. That's awesome.
And more importantly, I am back to teaching so frequently that like I can take a night off where need be and not feel like I'm dead in the water financially. Whereas like the whole last year, I was just telling, pardon me, my friends that I stay with, um, they know like my dance background pretty well, and I told them, yeah, last
Hmm.
year I was at the end of my rope where I was ready to just give up dance entirely, and they were like, "You're not kidding." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I was to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore."
Hmm.
Um, and it wasn't about the students. It was a very deeply internal thing that I felt that I was like, I don't know if maybe I need to navigate my life into a different direction kind of thing. Um,
Right.
my sister Kim talked me out of it, actually. She was like, look, just do this 1 year where you teach very minimally. Um, it's going to be tough because monetarily speaking, you're going to struggle, but
Hmm.
you need to see, hey, do you want to go make that money doing something else you don't love as much as the thing that you are the best in the world? Not the best in the world, but the best thing that you do. Why wouldn't
Yep.
you capitalize on that and monetize that in a way that's feasible and it makes
Yep.
sense and it makes you happy? So that's what I did. I took the year and I taught 2 nights a week, and I barely made enough money to get by. Like I fell in
Hmm.
like at the very end of the season, I fell into an opportunity where I picked up a third studio. Um, and then going into the summer, like going the 4 weeks that I did mid June to mid July, only teaching 1 night a week. That was it. That's all I did.
Hmm.
Like so, my income was very very slim, and I was just
Hmm.
doing the bare minimum. Now I'm so
Right.
busy that I'm like, cool, I want to pay off this credit card. I want to pay off this debt. I want to take care of this. I want
Yep.
to think ahead to appropriate
Yep.
funds here, 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 here. The best part is I went through so many years of I'd get to the middle of August and I would be dead in the water where I was 4 weeks ago, where I was slim pickings. But now
Right.
it's just the way that the studios that I teach for organize their summer programs, where it was like very like, hey, it's over here and then it's over here and here. That it was
Hmm.
the break that I had. It hurt me earlier in the summer rather than before Labor Day.
Yeah.
So now that things are picking up, I'm pretty excited. I'm very motivated. Clearly, I'm talking about going on the road again for me, which is like I can't tell you, hey, I had this conversation with my mother 2 days ago from the recording now, not when it gets posted. And I was like, I should be saving money so that I can move out. And she was like, you need to try to do this one more time. You need to like at least go all in and say you tried your best and do it. And
Yep.
that's that's what I'm driving into right now. That's where my mentality is.
Yep.
And that's where our friend Bart Kirshner, he talks about he wakes up every morning and he says, I look forward to treats. I look for he said this on the
Mm.
one episode and I was like, that. So work before play,
Yeah.
right? And it's just such a
Right.
fundamental concept, but that a lot of us can't, because sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll jump into the play thing, and then the work thing doesn't happen, and I'm like, wow, I really just right there, you know. Um,
Hmm.
but Brent, I mean, he gets it. He gets up in the morning, he works out, he makes a solid breakfast for not only himself but maybe his daughters, his wife, and he's like, okay, I did a thing for me that was positive. I did a thing as a husband as a father, he did the things, and then
Mhm.
as the end of the day approaches, he's like, "I'm ready for treats now." And he can't say he didn't earn it because he did the work things earlier. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of mindset that I'm trying to drive into right now. That's where I'm like, okay, when I was talking to you earlier, I was sitting on the chair, in the chair, uh, however you want to say it. I was like, man, I better do these push-ups before the rest of this day gets away from me. And you're like, yeah, man, I get that. Like, I know losing the motivation. And 5 minutes later, I didn't hear from you. And the podcast episode we were watching got really uninteresting. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going over here and I'm doing these push ups right now. And then once I
Yeah.
did them, I was like, okay, at least I did them. And then an hour and a half later, I was like, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to do the curls. I'm going to do the squats. I'm going to do deadlifts. And like I said, not a lot of weight, but at least I trained my mind to say, hey, come on, get good with yourself, get on it. And I hope for
Training your
you,
mind and like making your time worthwhile too, instead of just like sitting there contemplating of doing something and not doing it. You're making your time worth it to be like, hey, I'm just sitting here, why am I not doing something to make this time worth it? So you're like, let me get down here, do these little workouts, so then by the time I'm done it, that I could be like, here's my treat, like you said.
yes. And I think, when it comes to, doing the treat thing quickly, or if I said, oh, I'm going to go jump in the pool right now. Like if I put my bathing suit on and I go hop in the pool and it takes me a minute to make that happen, I'm like, why doesn't my mind think about that on the things like working out, like eating healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this so hard? And it's just because my brain isn't on that wavelength. And you have to trick your brain. And that's
Yeah.
I keep looking myself in the mirror and say, hey, you got to trick your brain into knowing um there's a good reason why you should be doing the things that you aren't driving yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
So just do them, right? I
Yep.
I grabbed a Tupperware of salad on Friday and I just dumped tuna in it, mayonnaise, and I made a little quick tuna salad. And if I was kind of forced into it, but I was also like, I only have a little bit of time before I have to go teach. And after I go teach, I'm going to the shore. So it was like, I need to put something in my system that makes sense, that's going to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, if I can train my mind to do these things, I can have a better quality of life, you know? And that's the whole thing with
Mm-hmm.
liquid IV that we're talking about with hydration station. It's like we try to drink water, but liquid IV apparently is like hydration times 5, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking forward to. Because I will enjoy a couple beers before I'll enjoy a couple glasses of water, you know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but because I have these goals now in mind, I'm like, hey, I need to do the work things that are going to help me get to those places, and then the treats can be jimmies on top that can be sprinkled in here and there. um, but
Yeah.
like that's where my brain's at right now, so I'm pretty excited.
Get them jimmies, Jimmy.
Get them, Jimmy! Oh, Jimmy!
Ah, Jimmy.
Yeah. So that's what's going on these days. I'm pretty stoked because summer is really chaotic for me, and then once I get past Labor Day, I get like a very regimented schedule. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I know right now, like my most open time is in the wee hours of the morning because I'm not a morning person. You and I are night owls, and I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
get my
Whoopsie.
out of bed early and do this stuff and get it out of the way, because otherwise the rest of the day will carry on and the excuses will start creeping in on me and consume me.
Mhm.
You know, I also,
When you
I
start
also,
making things a routine and like getting through a repetition of doing the same thing every day and making new routines, like you just said, your
you're
mind
tricking
starts
your
to,
mind. Yeah.
yeah, your whole mind and development starts changing. They say it takes your mind or your body at least like what, like 30 something days to like really make a new routine into something, especially when it comes to like health and fitness. Like it takes your body at least 30 days for a new change to come into effect. But so that's why they say is like, going through the same routine every day, trying to get into the same routine and, excuse me, repetition. Because if you're trying to start a new lifestyle, if you're trying to, better yourself or even just learn something new, it's about repetition. Not to go into a thing, but I know we're always going into like how we're, segueing this into like music and dance. But like I was listening to something today because again, I'm always trying to better myself in the studio, and the biggest thing they always tell you is practice, 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 practice. Even if it's like 15 to 30 minutes a day, just going over like ear training, knowing what to do and what to listen for, and and even if you're mixing somebody else's stuff, you're at least getting the practice in with so many different sounds. And then as you continue to do that for weeks and months, 1 to 2 years from now, you're going to be that much better. So, uh, I've been trying to implement that into my music. And then now again, in my life of like, repetition of, getting back into, trying to go from like tipping the scale back from unhealthy to more healthy, and or at least having it a balance instead of it being like unhealthy up here and healthy down here, trying to sway it like in the middle, or at least having the healthy side being a little bit more above than the unhealthy side. So again, it's like one of those things, like your body doesn't want, or your mind is always trying to say, hey, sit down for about 5 minutes, you're tired, you got to sit down and do this. Like, and you were saying earlier about like staying busy. A lot of people have told me like, I don't know how you do it. Like you're doing a podcast, you're doing music, you're working 40 hours a week, you're a father, you're a husband. How do you do it? And I'm just like, I don't know, but I just love staying busy. I love consuming myself with things to do. Because like you said, I think if it's like if you're not doing things, your mind starts playing tricks on you to start being more lazy and start, not doing as much things as you usually do. But if you're always in a work mode or a work sense, you don't have time for your brain to start telling you to stop doing what you're doing, because you're so focused in on doing what you're already doing. So whether it's us recording this podcast, getting up for work, doing your work, editing stuff, doing music, you know, and then, getting back to the real world of, taking care of little guy, trying to be the best husband I can be, there's always something you can improve on. And for our listeners, you know, if there's and me and Jim have had through the year and a half that we've been on this podcast, we've been through a lot of up and downs. We don't just say this stuff just to be the next cliche people on the internet to say, you know, drink your milk and take your vitamins and all that bullshit. Like we try to be as real with you guys with what we say. We come from a lot of positive aspects in our lives. Me and Jim have always tried to be the most positive uh when it comes to, you know, our music, our dance, and even our mentality. I think that's why we get along so much, is because we share the same mental states with each other. We understand trying to be positive and think in a positive state, even when we're not at our best. We try to flip ourselves out of those things. But for our listeners, if you're ever in a negative state, I mean, I have a whole album, an EP of what I wrote about this stuff of trying to stay positive. There's always the light at the end of the tunnel, but always, if there's, if you're in that state, there's always somebody you can talk to. So if you're in that state right now, you know, try to talk to somebody. Try to talk to somebody around you. Or, hey, if you want to hit us up on that Gmail, onestep at Gmail. Hit us up. Say, hey, I'm having a bad day. I just need somebody to talk to. Me and Jim will be right there to talk to you guys. We're always trying to engage with you guys. And we just got really super serious with this. But, we always look out for others, and I think, again, that's why me and Jim have been best friends for this long. We care about each ourselves. We care about other people more than we care about ourselves. So we're still trying to figure out ourselves so we can make ourselves better people when we're trying to care for other people, if that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I
Rant
mean,
done.
and rant. Like, I've been in really dark places on my own. I don't know that you've been in like real dark, depressive phases. If you have, you've worn it super well, or maybe you just stay busy so that you don't get to those places, right?
I think with me, yeah, I think that's with me. Like I've had my moments, but like you said, I think I kind of sometimes wear it well, but I try to keep myself busy so I don't have to think about it sometimes. It's probably not the best attitude, but I try to, because I think we're both in this fact that like we don't like confrontation, so we try to stay as far away from conflicts as we do. But when we get into them and
Sure.
we know we can't get out of it, it's like a struggle for both of us. So that's always like my downfall is like I hate conflicts a lot, and it's always definitely played a big part. Uh, you know, when me and Jem were in our early relationships, like I was always the one be like, all right, well, I don't want to get in a fight, so I'm just gonna, do whatever. But I've learned that like you have to have those, fights here and there to work things out. Uh,
Sure.
but um, so I've grown to be better with that in time. But just like anything, I still struggle with certain things. But I think with me keeping busy, it it helps to stay out of those depressive states. I'm not sure if that kind of feels the same way with you, but
Well, it keeps you distracted away from the things that can drive into you mentally, and I think that
hmm
that's where I was in a position where I told you I was like, yeah, hey, I'm actually going through BetterHelp, and I did therapy for
yeah,
quite a little bit, and it was
uh
because I didn't have the extensive schedule, like full time work that you had, no kids, like so
hmm
I had a lot of time for things to resonate in my brain, and my brain tricked myself into feeling all of the negative things that could potentially drive me into a negative headspace. It was happening rather than now that I'm busier, I'm teaching more, and like I'm so motivated now. I'm like, okay, um, I'm ready to go,
yeah,
and like I'm ready to go. I just am. And from someone that has been in that space of like, hey, I have had a therapist and have talked to someone because I needed to. And I think it's great because we're in a world now where expressing that is a lot more welcome. And it's like, hey,
hmm
good. If like you're out here opening up about like, hey, you were in a spot where you needed to, you know? And I absolutely did. Um, some things came crashing down in my life, and I was like, okay, I need a third party, set of ears, um, and it was also something that I didn't want to pay for before, but it was so much more about having to financially fund it, and it was so much
Hmm.
better. It was so much better for me in my heart, in my mind, just and it made me approach life a lot better to be in that spot. So yeah, if you're
Hmm.
apprehensive and you want to talk to one of us, onestepod@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram. You can hit us up however you want. Um, and just know we would rather you have a better quality of life. Um, so if we can help facilitate that, if you like these episodes that are a little bit more serious, down to earth, let us know because I
Yep.
like to joke a lot. I like to be funny,
Same.
and that's kind of my distraction from the serious stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's good to be on the real, and I think that this was a great episode, Anth. Which we didn't plan for this one. I did, and nothing happened that I planned, and it's fine. I'm gonna save it for a different time. So it's
Yeah,
all
man.
good.
Keep them wanting more.
Sure. Let's Anth. Let's sign off.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Guys, thank you all for being here for another episode of One Set. Like Jim said, hit us up on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Subscribe right here on YouTube. We upload every Friday at 9 a.m. So be here, subscribe, tell your friends, and to any new subscribers, thank you for joining us. To anybody who's been here from the start, we love you guys, and continue to share us out. Uh, we will see you on the next one. This has been One Set.